Hello, everyone. This is Trevor Halpern. This is the first episode of the What's Halperning podcast. I am super thrilled to be here and honored to be here with my good friend, Ethan Pajak. Ethan is just a good dude, one of the best dudes I know, business owner, father, just solid guy. We've just been sitting here for a couple minutes and have already been chatting and catching up. And dude, I'm so honored that you're here, man. Thanks you so
dude.
much. And thank you for being the guinea pig in this as we try to figure out how this stuff works.
Dude, I just got chills.
That's awesome.
I just got chills of you saying that.
That's awesome.
Totally. I'm the humbled and honored one to be here, man. So thanks.
You and I, like every time I come see you, every time we get together, I literally, if I come see you at work, I have to tell Beth. Yeah, I leave drunk. I literally have to tell Beth or work, like, I'll see you in like an hour and a half. Like, we sit down and we talk. We've had some of the coolest conversations. I was thinking about it on the way over here. How long have we known each other, dude?
So I met your dad first.
That's right.
Your dad stumbled into our store on Central. And, you know, there's Barry Halpern. And he came in. He's like, I've been driving by here. I need to get my wife something. I was like, cool. I was like, this guy's awesome, you know, and telling me, I think he drove a Porsche at the time, right?
Probably still does.
Porsche, I think.
Yeah, if you're
he was super nice, you know, and that must have been probably 13 years ago, you know, and then I met you and your mom and your sister and your grandma Trula and everybody, you know.
My first wife.
Yeah. Your first wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. You met my first wife.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I mean, we've been a part of everything, man. Like, I've done jewelry for your grandmother, your in-laws, your parents, you, friends. How many friends? Countless friends, you know.
Everyone I know, like literally everyone who's like, if I hear a conversation, people are like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting married. I'm like, hey, you need to go. Oh my God.
It's crazy. I feel all that love because I'm like, here's another one of Trevor's friends.
But dude, that's how you live your life, and that's how you build your business, and that's how I try to live my life and build my business. And I just want to, like, every time I can give some gratitude,
Thanks,
I do it,
man.
you know?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool to be in a place to be able to do that, you know? I mean, I'm just getting there, really kind of getting at peace with myself in business, you know, and kind of understanding where I am in it, because it's huge. 5 years ago, I was just an employee, you know, or 6 years ago, I was an employee, and now I own something, and, you know, to build something and then make it so your friends are comfortable enough to come and spend an hour and a half or 2 hours and invite you to do something cool like this and send all these people, you know. And it started with your dad. I mean, when it was time for you to get a ring, your dad was like, you have to go see this guy, you know. I mean, like, all that to me, like, you know, not sound cheesy, but that's my currency, man. Like, I dig that more than money, dude, you know.
Yep. I think that's why you and I see eye to eye on so much of this. To be able to, like, do the kind of work that you want to do, the way you want to do it, and with who you want to do it with, like, that's everything. When the phone rings, just same with you. It's like you get a text message or the phone rings and it's someone that you don't know. It's like, so-and-so told me to call you. It's like, that's like,
yeah, totally. It's just overwhelming flattery and I don't know. It's such a privilege to get somebody's business and attention and everything. And I think what's helped me a lot to appreciate all that is becoming a dad, because of the perspective that's given me. Now I measure everything against that, you know? Yeah. So now if I'm not with my family, which is my favorite thing always, to be with my wife and son and future daughter, like, it better be something making me happy if I'm not there, you know. And the only thing I do besides be with them is work, you know. I mean, I do some other stuff, but I work and I'm dad almost all the time. Yeah. And I just think the older I get, the more I'm figuring out, or have been realizing, that you got to figure out how to be happy and all that stuff. Do it the way that you want to, you know.
Yeah.
I used to think it was one thing for me. I needed to have and be and feel and do, and now it's like just my son and my wife, and everything else can just fall where it falls, you know.
Dude, I mean, you, like, that perspective, and I know enough of your story that, like, that perspective has been gained not only through the good stuff, the wife and the kid, but, like, that's been gained through getting knocked down. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Your path has not been linear and it hasn't been straight. And like,
no,
dude, you're a jeweler, and where's all your jewelry, right? Like, you're not the guy. Like, you're not the.
I get made fun of because my ring is a tattoo and not not an actual ring, which I am going to make a ring for myself.
But like, you have. I mean, when I look at you, I think like your business is. It doesn't matter that you're a jeweler. Like, you could be whatever. You could be a carpenter. You could be whatever it is. Like, that particular business would be defined. It would be like your insides on the outside. Like, that's it. Like, you're like, let me just express who I am through the business. That's like, that's exactly what you're doing.
I think every good company has that. And company can be one person or, a million people. And I do think that all the good stuff all the best stuff comes from the struggle, the hardest stuff. That's the cool thing. In the last year especially, I have figured out, with help of, honestly, with a therapist that I started with, Sherry. She has changed my life, and working at it, and all the people around me, and learning, right? Like, learning how to be comfortable being a dad is the same, or being in a relationship is the same as learning how to be comfortable in your business, And so I've just kind of figured out, just how to be at peace in it, like it's so short. Like, this last year and a half of having Trey is the fastest year and a half of my life, dude. I mean, it's been crazy. And I know that I got another one coming, and I know it's going to only move faster. And, so through having kids, I think especially, is just really taught me that I missed my point there. The adversity, sorry.
Right.
So I used to be so afraid of the adversity. Like, how am I going to handle it? How am I going to get through it? What's it going to look like on the other side? And the coolest thing has happened in the last year, where now I am like, give it to me, because I know what's going to happen on the other side. It's not going to be worse. It's usually always that I'm better, I'm stronger, I figured something out. We've been talking about with Danny and Dennis about just which, guys, this is so cool, thank you so much, about just improving the setup. Like, we're constantly improving if you own a business, or you are your business, or whatever, Well,
you mentioned earlier the point that you made earlier that I thought was so good before we started rolling. You're like, you'll tinker with something, and you'll be like, you'll look at it, you're like, yeah, that doesn't work, or whatever. Oh, but I'm gonna do it this way next time. And like, you described it. I forget how you described it. Like, not that it was like, it was process driven and it was an improvement, but the way I've been taught, Brian North taught me that sort of stuff. And like, okay, you hire someone, it doesn't work out, they have to go, like, you're bummed out, whatever. Some people look at that and be like, I lost $30,000 on what I paid them and this and that. Like, I lost that money. Brian taught me to look at that as paying tuition. No, you paid tuition. Like, how much did you learn? And that was the way that you were framing your, not your failures, but your process. Like, this doesn't work, how can I make it work? And like, any tinkerer.
That's the word. That's the word I use a lot.
Well, dude, you get to tinker.
Like, a perfect example, not to interrupt, but so 3 years ago, I needed this specific tool, this very expensive tool that's like, $30,000. And I found a version that's not quite that tool that was like $9,000. And I'm like, I'm going to get that because I think that'll do what I need, and I'm going to put a toe in the water and check it out. And I feel like I kind of backed into it a little bit. And 2 months after having the $9,000 machine, I was like, I should have just got the $30,000 machine.
Now it costs you $39,000.
Now it cost me $39,000. Instead of moping around at that $9,000 that I wasted, I had to change my perspective, and that's the huge thing that's happened with me, in the last year with, the big changes in my life and again with, the help of my friend Sherry, like, dude, she's been amazing. And just
you having someone like that to talk to, like, that just changed that. Beth and I have worked with this guy, Al Fuentes. And Al's a mental coach. Nice. It sounds like, way out there. He's basically like you talk to him, it's like a therapist, and he gives you feedback. Like, the way I describe it, you're used to looking this way. I'm just looking this way. And he's just like, dude, look at it that way.
Totally.
Just a little perspective change. And what he's built into us through, I think I've had 3 sessions with him over 2 years, 4 sessions with him. But like the growth that has come from those, and just it's like mental triggers. It's like, I'm going down this bad path, you know, like, oh, here I go. And then it's like, whoa, dude, you don't have to. Like, or, the self-defeating or the like fear and like some of the stuff that these little mental triggers when I'm really at a process point, like what do I do? He's told me like don't ever be guided by guilt, expectation, obligation, or burden. So if I run it through that funnel, and I'm like, oh, there it is,
it becomes easier.
Feel guilty about that, like not, so it at least frames it so that you can make a decision instead of it being such like so out there,
Like that's what you just said is a huge thing. Framing it, you know, if you can get to the point where you're figuring out how to make you can make your life make decisions for you almost. Like, this is how I operate in this thing, and
decision by default is what I call it.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have learned in the last year how to look at situations that were so emotional for me before that would cause what I now realize is anxiety or stress, I look at them like binary now. I just break it down. I reverse engineer it, or I just get to the very root of it. And I'm like, well, what? And then what? And then what? And then what happens if? And then,
dude,
till I beat it down till it's nothing.
That's the Socratic method.
Oh,
have you heard of that?
So she gave me 2 pages on the Socratic method. Sherry, I hope you never see this because I didn't read them.
But what you said, you don't even need to read them. That's it. You keep asking questions and you break it down. It's like it's a technique, a law school technique. It's a lawyerly thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But it's what Socrates did, and I literally call it showering with Socrates.
Yeah.
Dude, whenever I'm in like a jam, or even if I don't know that I'm in a jam, like if I'm in the shower. And I'm just asking questions. Like when I was doing 2020 business planning, I could not. Nothing was coming. I was like, okay, it's 2020.
Yeah.
And where are my goals? What are my things? What am I doing? And I was literally in the shower one day, and I started asking myself questions. And I did the Socratic method thing, not like on purpose. I just kept breaking it down.
Yeah.
And I've done that forever. And I just came up with that term a couple weeks ago.
I love
showering with Socrates, man.
That should probably be something on here.
That's something you need to remember. Well, maybe this is the name of the podcast, Showering with Socrates.
I mean,
with Socrates. You remember Bill and Ted?
Bill and Ted's Socrates. Dude, I was going to say it earlier, and I was like, I don't want to junk up his podcast.
You say whatever you want, dude.
Yeah, man. It's so simple,
Yeah.
but very difficult. Every day, like all of us, not just me. I'm not sitting here like, well, with my life and my business and my family, and because it's just learning how to process it all, just how to do it in a way that makes you happy.
Well, dude, totally. It's the way I've been shifting my thinking for the lot. Like I've been really working on it, and this is stemming from conversations that I've had with Al, and it's like. Shifting from the like I have to, and this is Brian North stuff too. Like instead of I have to, I get to.
Totally,
dude. I don't ever like if I find myself saying I have to, then I stop and I say, do I have to? Do I have to?
Look at what you're doing, right?
Like I literally walked out of the office one day, and told the ladies, I'm like, hey, I have to go pick up Haley from practice or something.
Yeah.
And I got 7 steps down the hall and just started beating myself up. Like, I don't have to. I get to. I get to do what I do that allows me the flexibility to a certain extent to be able to, if my daughter needs to be picked up, I'm going to pick her up. And I get to do that. I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So like I got mad at myself for that a little bit. But those little like, those little lessons, those little things that come up, like I like to like let it burn for a second. Let me really like think about this and let it burn in. Let me learn my lesson. I can't change it. I've learned my lesson and now it's gone. So like that creates just a little mental nick. The next time something like that comes up, I get to.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
But it's being introspective, and so many people and it's easy in life. And I'm not by any stretch of the imagination perfect or, a super honed, being or whatever. But like just the stuff that I learned over the years, man, like the stuff that you can control. If you can control the hell out of it. If you can't, let it go.
Well, when I learned that we weren't born with anxiety and stress. I was like, ding, ding, ding. We're not,
dude.
It's not inherently.
And when you held your baby for the first time, you're like, this is 100% purity, right?
Yeah.
So all of that anxiety and stress.
So those are the things, and I'm like, well, he's gonna grow up. You know, I'm learning how much we are our environments, you know, from growing up, and I'm like, I don't want to pass that on to him. It's something that I learned and reinforced, and it wasn't even something I struggled with. It was a year ago, actually, this month, that I had this like anxiety attack. I didn't even really know what it was.
Yeah.
And my wife, the most incredible human being on the planet, I'm just like, I mean, I mentioned Sherry, my therapist, first, but because I'm in there like doing like the brain work with her,
doing the work.
But I couldn't do anything at all without Allie. You know, I mean, she is my rock in my world, and her and Trey. I mean, it's just, no, man, I can obviously barely talk about them, but I just think about how much she helps me find these little things to tinker with, and the perspective I have now that I'm like, all right, I am not going to pass this on to him. You know, I'm going to show him how to manage this thing, because I do believe that most all this is just mental stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just learning how to operate in it. And we as people, all of us, we all have so much going on all the time, you know, and not only that, but you can look at your phone and pull up any 6-7 of the amazing social platforms that are super interesting and fun, and just get lost, and they're bombarded with advertisements and things that we want, and you know, and it's
things that we don't want too.
Absolutely.
Dude, you can get bombarded like with all the bad news from around the world on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that you get bombarded with it so much. Like I've told Beth, like, my thinking, I try to stay away from it as much as possible.
I do too.
I know what's
I don't
going
watch
on
the
in the
news.
news. I know what's going on. I check in. I look at multiple sides of sources. Dude,
but if you're consuming that daily.
Yeah. Oh, it grinds you down. Good. If you're like, you know, Beth would be like, did you hear about the mudslide in India? And I'm like, I don't need to. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like our village is too big now.
Yeah.
It used to be like, you know, 200 people in a village or a tribe or whatever. And it was like when so-and-so's grandma died, or this matriarch or patriarch, it was a big deal. But in, you know, nowadays it's like 10,000 people dying here, 1,000 people, tragedy, shootings, all this stuff.
It's crazy.
You're getting all of the bad from all of the world. And I don't think humanity has evolved to mentally to the point where we can take that in and understand that. How is that? Like, there's no way.
No,
there's
it
no
just
way.
Freaks people out, I think, a lot. And me too. I mean, you know, I had the big Tucson Gem Show last week. And, you know, I've gone there every year for 16 years. And my sister, who works for me, who is the other amazing force in my life, Lindsay, got to give her a shout out. She's incredible. She's the reason I can be here right now doing this. Awesome. Is because I have her. And Darshan, my jeweler, all those people. I just, that's our crew. You know, we have a couple other part-time people, but, you know, we're getting ready to head down the next day, me and Lindsay. And like I said, I've gone 15, 16 years in a row. And she's like, do you have any fear about the coronavirus? And I was like, no. And then I stopped and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I do.
Should I?
What is it? I mean, what is it really? You know, and she's digging in. I'm like, well, there's people come from all over the world to this. It's one of the biggest gem shows in the world. Yeah. So there's vendors from all over the place. And, you know, now that I have these other things that I care about more than myself, I was like, well, maybe I am afraid, you know, and everything was fine. Obviously, we went down there and came back and nobody was sick. But if I didn't have, you know, it in my face, I wouldn't have even thought about it, I guess, you know.
Dude.
It's not, I don't want to bury my head in the sand and like avoid everything either, but yeah, there's just so much. There's just so much all the time. Good and bad. It's just noise everywhere. So, you know, I'm constantly just trying to like find that happy way, because I think a lot of people can just like, it's so interesting for people to look at a car accident. You know, a lot of people, I don't want to say most, but a lot of people, I don't want to see that. You know,
I don't want to see
my wife
either.
Calls me Disneyland, you know?
Yeah. La, la, la. Or like an animal on the road. No,
I can't.
Taking a nap.
Yeah, I don't care.
That
if
cat's
it's
just taking a nap.
I'm crying. Yeah. I'm sensitive, man. Especially for animals.
I rolled over the head of a squirrel once.
Oh gosh.
On my way home from work, like a squirrel. It was running across the road. I braked and then I heard pop. It was like you know,
I'm going to cry right now.
Dude, for 2 weeks, because I was my way to and from work, and there's like this little side where I had to drive by him, and I'd be like, "Sorry, buddy."
Oh.
Like it was a squirrel, but I just don't like killing stuff, man. You know?
No.
Like I step over lines of ants.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
We
I
put
don't know.
bugs outside. I mean, I'm not trying to just kill things. It might sound a little
we put bugs outside
hippie-ish.
too.
You
Yeah,
know?
whatever,
And nothing
man.
against that, because hippies are great people.
You get out what you put in. Like if I'm going around killing things, like I'm gonna expect some shit in my life to
I'm
get
not
killed.
trying to watch a bunch of bad news. I'm not trying to kill things. I'm just trying to
Disneyland.
I'm trying to
you dream in colors.
dad,
you
man.
dream in cartoons.
Yeah, I want to play with my kids.
Dude, okay, so what do you like? You leave work, you're working. I don't even know what your hours are. I know they're silly, right?
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman. You're meeting with clients. You're helping build their dream of what they want from a jewelry standpoint. That ring that's super important to them, a necklace, whatever it is. You build beautiful pieces based on what people want, and that you can't just turn off, right?
No,
like
well, you
dude,
said that
go home-
earlier.
yeah,
when
like
you're planning 2020, and you're like, it's time, and I got nothing.
I got nothing.
It's brutal, man.
It is, but
Brutal
like,
some
so
days.
how do you, like, when you go home, and this is something that I've been trying to work on, is like being more present at home with my family, because it's hard to turn the mental switch off. Okay, I'm getting out of my car. I'm at home. Like, briefcase stays in the car, like whatever. Like it doesn't happen. But like, how do you turn that mental switch off when you get home? And do you, or is that something that you're working on?
I mean, I'm always working on everything for sure. Like I got to say it right now. If I've sounded like I have anything figured out, I definitely don't. But I love that. Like
you're working on it.
Yeah,
so you do have a lot.
I love
figured
living
out.
in it.
Well, you have the path, the way, like, heart forward. This is why I'm doing this. You have that, and the rest will come. You'll build
I had this moment, not to sidebar, but sometime in the last like 10 years, I realized why it's practicing law and practicing medicine.
Dude, right?
You know, because you never have it 100% figured out and mastered. You can't. And so, like, why aren't we just practicing life every day? You know, that's kind of how I'm trying to tell myself. So practicing turning it off. I mean, my cell phone has become a second work line, you know? And so...
Sorry.
No, thank you. You know, so you're trained. I know you have the same thing. It's like blink your iPhone text, and you're like, that's either money or a problem, or
it's either money in or money out. Like,
it's something, you know. And so it's like, do I have to handle it now? Do I need to? I'm also in a different phase, because you know, you've got some older kids too. Well, now that you got the little man, little Marty Mart, maybe it's a little different. I feel like, and this, I'm only been a dad for a year and a half, but you have the new kid, and it keeps you home a lot. I think, I don't know.
It makes me want to go home a lot.
Yeah,
like
I want to.
Dude, stepping in, seeing my wife, seeing the girls, seeing Marty, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Like when I'm, I just want to focus, like, be there and be present. Dude, I think we talked about it the last time I came and visited you at your office. Do you put your phone on Do Not Disturb?
So I was just telling myself mentally, I was like, don't forget to tell him what you do. Once I pull in the driveway, I turn my ringer off.
Okay.
So, and I don't have any alerts on my phone except texts.
Yeah, me too. So
if I don't hear it, like, I've trained myself, right? Just like I trained myself to have that anxiety a year ago. I trained myself if I go to my phone or not. And so, you know, if it's on and I hear it, of course there's this little like curiosity, like, oh, what is that? You know, but I put it up on the counter, and we have a pretty strict routine with Trey, because we did like this sleep training thing. So so once I get home, I get every second that I can. It's really because it's limited. He's in bed by 7 o'clock, and then he sleeps 12 hours, which is incredible.
Sleep training paying off.
Oh my gosh, incredible, man.
Investment.
Incredible. Yes, big time. And so it's easy for me to get home, turn my ringer off, and have my time with him. Then we put him to bed, and this is the part that I'm practicing, is that it's me and Allie.
Yeah.
And I should just be 1,000% loving all over her and rubbing her feet and thanking her for all the hard work, the real hard work that she does every day. But I'm like, okay, now it's time for me to work, you know, and I pull out my phone and I start responding, and I'm working on social stuff and thinking and investigating and working. And I just, you know, it's just like set it down. Just set it down. One of the cool things that helped me a lot was Allie one day was like, why do we have a TV in our room? So I moved into this house before her and I moved in together. I was there for a couple months. And the first thing I did was bring over my 2 bachelor TVs. One was 75 inches, one was 65 inches.
Oh, is that big?
And so our bedroom, our whole house isn't as big as this cool room, but our bedroom's like half the size of this. It's a little house. And I put this 70-inch TV on the wall.
I want to be inside the TV.
It was terrible. But the worse than watching the TV was when it was off. It was this giant black, like, over me.
Dude, that's such a good point.
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
So one day Allie's like, can we take this TV down? I don't like a TV in the room. I was like, sure, yeah, I'll challenge myself. I mean, I'm like, we grew up in Mesa, a bunch of kids, like our parents shoved 6 TVs in each room to,
here,
God help them.
Entertain yourself.
Yes.
Have things to do.
Try not to burn down the house this week. We were 3 boys and a little girl. We were hoodlums. We just broke everything.
Wait, was your sister, is she the youngest?
She's the youngest.
So same setup as Beth. Beth is the youngest of 4, and she has 3 older brothers. Oh my God, they need to meet. I tell Beth, I'm like, you were raised by wolves. Like 3 older brothers, like there's nothing I can say that like, she's like, yeah, seen that, had that done. Like
that's Lindsay too.
What else you got?
Lindsay, my poor sister, tried to bring her first boyfriend over when she was like 16, and me and my 2 older brothers went and got all the guns that we could. My oldest brother, he's 7 years older than me, so yeah, we were all, we all had some guns. And he walks in and we're just like on the couch, like, so you're dating our sister? And he walked out, and I don't know how much longer they dated.
Probably not a lot.
I'd like to think we helped that.
Yeah.
She didn't. That was her high school boyfriend, and then she married her next boyfriend. So I think 3 older brothers can help,
Disaster averted. You knew from the get-go that wasn't going to be.
That's how Beth got to
you.
you.
That wasn't going to play. That's right. That's right. Long, insinuating.
It's crazy what 3 boys can do. I mean, we just destroyed everything. And the TV, that's what I was saying. So I took the TV off the wall. I was just used to having it in my room. Just something I learned, right? It's just my environment.
Yeah.
And then I changed it, and I took it down, and I was like, oh man, this is so nice. Our room is so much brighter. And I haven't had a TV in our room for the last 3 years.
How much has that affected? Like, what has that done?
Huge.
Like, what has that done for your relationship?
We're having another girl in May. I mean, or not another girl, another baby.
Bringo.
Yeah.
Not bingo, Bringo.
Yeah. It's Bringo.
Dr. Steve Brule. Have you ever seen that on Adult Swim? I'll send you some links. It's good stuff. Bringo.
I don't really get time to watch TV, man.
I don't either.
I watch the Cardinal games.
You could watch as much TV as you wanted.
Sure.
But you prefer to spend it with your wife, with your baby.
Yeah.
That's what
and working.
I mean, and that's
working is my hobby.
Yeah. When you do it, it's not even, it's the tinkering, right? Like you could probably you could be doing other stuff other than being a jeweler, but as long as you got a creative outlet and all of that. And that's where in my business, I get to use both sides of the brain. You do too. Right. And I think that's an entrepreneurial thing as well. I get to get deep with people. I get to I'm helping them buy a house. I'm helping them do stuff that's so cool. You're helping put rings on fingers at weddings, and this is my ring. There's emotion built into it, and that really feeds a lot of my soul part of it. But then the analytical side of my brain, the part that just wants to build and tinker for the sake of building and tinkering.
Look at some data numbers.
Yeah, look at some data, and let's go. Well, we can go here and here.
To fulfill them both.
Yeah, I mean, when you really start enough time in whatever industry you're in, and enough time in a business, and you really start thinking that way, it's like, okay, that side of the brain's coming alive now. My craft is good. I'm really good at what I do. Now it's like, how can we apply some intellect on top of
just getting there,
dude? That's where I'm last 2 years since I came to North & Co and tapped into what North & Co has to offer. That's what I've been doing.
I think that's why we're here today.
That is why we're here today.
Why I'm probably one of the first people that you talk to, because every time we're together, we're in this
dude, what are you doing? What do you got?
Yeah,
how are you doing? That's awesome.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
I just got chills because I'm like, that's what I love. That's what I realized. So I struggled a lot. You've known me for a long time in this business, and I'll just tell the other people that are going to watch or hear this, all 16 million of you. that
someday, my friend.
And that 15 years ago when we started, I was just an employee there working for a friend who we started it, and I started working for him. We built this jewelry business, and 6 years ago he retired, and I decided I'm just going to restart this on my own. You know this whole story, but so I've been in my current space with my private showroom, appointment only, for 4.5 years. Last year, 2019, was the first time that I actually paid myself some money, which was very cool. It wasn't even a real salary or anything, but it was a huge accomplishment. But everything before that was full of all these questions and doubt, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, how long is it going to take till it works? And, if I'm not paying myself, it's obviously failing and everything. And that created all this anxiety and learning, a big thing that helps me, honestly, is podcasts and having the conversations that we have.
Yeah.
And I kind of, at some point in the last year, realized that, I was even struggling with, well, what I do isn't important. It's not like giving someone a home or a kidney or,
or taking the tumor out of their noggin.
I'm like, it's jewelry. Nobody needs it. But that's not true. And I just had to, kind of learn why what we do is special and how we make it special. And all of that kind of came along with those feelings of it's not that it's jewelry, because I definitely believe that for work, you need to be doing something you love and enjoy. Yeah. And if I was just going to start with all my knowledge of business today, which, may not be very much, but if I started with everything I got today, I'm not going to start a jewelry business.
What would you start?
I've always wanted to build hot rods and motorcycles. Yeah. I've always been obsessed with cars.
Yeah.
The cool thing is doing custom jewelry gives me a ton of that, the ability to create something different that no one else has had and seen, and push myself and push us. And so many of the processes are the same. And so I struggled before, but then I embraced, that jewelry is just what it is. What I love is the actual process. It's figuring it out. It is the tinkering. So it could be anything.
Well, and it's like, to your point, you're like, you've had those thoughts of like, well, it's just jewelry. Like, I've had my thought, like, I'm just a realtor. Like, I had to reconcile that.
Totally.
Coming out, having a law degree, having like thought that I was going to do big things in different avenues, and
watched all of it,
failed my ass off, right? I mean, dude, you were there. I mean, you from 2005 to 2013, like, oh, buddy.
Yeah.
I got hired and fired and laid off like 3 times. I got married. I got divorced. I bought a house. I sold a house. I stumbled into real estate. Like, it was intense, and you've been there the whole time, man. But like, I feel like as long as you're failing forward, like, just fall forward, dude. Just like, if you're good, don't pile up.
Yeah.
Don't crumble. Yeah. Don't fall back. Just fall forward and then pick your ass up. And guess what? You're 3 feet further than you were.
Well, go back to the Socratic method.
Yeah.
And this is a
Showering
huge
with Socrates.
thing.
Socrates.
It's a huge thing, man, is look at what the proof provides. Now when I have someone close to me that is like, I'm going through something, I'm like, you've gone through it. Whatever it is, you've gone through some version of it, or something even potentially worse, and you've come out on the other side just fine, because you're here right now having a conversation with me. And that is like, we all just want to feel okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you do like one of those things where you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I this? Am I that?
Yeah.
Like, how have you tamed the voices that get in your way? Like, I call it, they're like mental, like, depending on how big of a deal, it's like a mental speed bump, a mental, or like or throwing, I call it throwing landmines in front of yourself. You're like, I'm just going to walk right up.
Yeah.
This is going to fail. So boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. I just threw that mental landmine in front. So how do you, those voices, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Not good enough, or like whatever. How do you, and have you broken through those? And what are your like little mental triggers to get over it?
I do a lot, man. I mean, so the biggest thing that has helped me in the last year is figuring out gratitude, like real gratitude. And I'll tell you the real story. So it was May 22nd. I was driving to work. I was in the middle of an anxiety moment, and I had been seeing my therapist, Sherry, for a couple months and making a lot of progress. The first time I met with her, she taught me physical, things about anxiety, like the medical things about anxiety, like the cold sweats and the chest thumping. That's cortisol, and just understanding it a little bit. And so working on gratitude, so I'm driving in, and I'm at McDonald's. I'm crossing over Hayden, and I'm freaking out. I'm just freaking out inside. I have nothing to freak out about.
Screaming.
I'm just getting owned, by this cloud of mystery. And it's just, I can feel it. And I look over and I see this guy with no legs in a wheelchair rolling himself uphill. And he's like, oh, and he's sweating. And I just started sobbing in my car. And I was like, dude, here's this guy. Like, I'm in my car right now, you know? I'm in my freaking car right now.
Left my office building in
Scottsdale. Yeah. And if this car got a flat tire, I'd just take alleys. Or I'd go get it fixed.
Yeah.
I would walk over and do something.
Right.
And that triggered me. It was actually the day after that I listened to my first podcast. And a friend of mine was like, you need to check out podcasts. And she'd sent me some things from a motivational person. I was like, this is incredible. And I told this young kid that came in, I did a ring for. He's probably 25, and I was like, "Man, these podcasts are so cool." And he's like, "Yeah,
bro."
I go, "Where do you find these podcasts?"
He's like, "The interwebs."
There he goes, the podcast app on your phone.
Yeah, you see that?
Press that, and I was like, "Oh!" And so I dug into it, and I started listening to all these business professionals, and a lot of them talk about gratitude, right? So this is a combo to answer that question. So that guy affected me, and I start on these podcasts, and I start thinking about gratitude, and I wake up every day expecting to see and expecting to breathe and expecting to put my feet on the floor.
Right.
And I was like, I shouldn't be doing that, because there are people that can't, or woke up and weren't able to, and there's people that lost their legs and are still fighting that adversity, or are blind or deaf. I mean, and a zillion other things, if you get into illnesses and stuff. And so I take some serious time to focus on my gratitude every morning as I'm driving in. I'm like, thanks for this car, thank you for these feet. Thank you for the fact that I have clothes to wear, when you're thankful for all those simple things, you almost can't see the stuff that you don't have.
Right.
And so there was one thing, right, that that was this perspective that I could always zoom out and zoom back in.
Yeah.
And then I coupled that with podcasts, and you listen to other people that have gone through what you're going through and overcame it. People that run Fortune 500 CEOs to people that, are a one-person show. They have all the same struggles, all the tinkers, all the and you can apply that to parenting. You can apply it to probably anything. You can go listen to someone else that's been there. And I'm like, well, all these other people have been there and done it, so I can too.
Yeah, you're instantly not alone. You instantly have a tribe to gain knowledge.
That was huge for me, I mean, and I talked to my wife when she's feeling overwhelmed with, raising a toddler and being pregnant. I think talking to people, having conversations, it sounds cliche because everybody's saying it, but these are simple things.
TTP, talk to people.
Yeah, they're simple things that are sometimes difficult to execute,
Dude, it's really interesting. You're going through gratitude exercises, and I just started doing that too. Just started really trying to focus on it, but mine has been more external. Send that person a text and tell them thank you. Handwrite a thank you. For me, it's been more of the external, but the way you're doing it is gives some really interesting perspective. Because I do expect to wake up and be healthy. I do expect to just be able to get up and go, and I do expect that when I come home, my family's going to be safe and sound.
Do you want to know my most hardcore thing?
Fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, man. I go to Phoenix Children's Hospital. parking lot. And I just think, my son's not in here.
That's powerful.
And so if my son's not in there, my daughter's not.
What else
I'm
matters?
good. My wife's not sick,
Yeah.
So if you have those things, then for me, I've got to like, everything else is in place.
Yeah.
No matter what else happens to me,
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can go sell cars, I mean, I can do anything. And that is so empowering, but it's taken my journey of ups and downs to get there. And so now I'm operating in this place of confidence. I haven't had anxiety in over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. I beat it,
Mm-hmm.
I beat it with help of all these people in my life and learning and practicing.
And challenging yourself and asking yourself the right questions.
Totally. And those challenges, embracing the struggles, those hardest things that I used to just beat my ass over. Like, man, if you had gone to college, you probably wouldn't struggle like this, All those dumb things are gone, and I leveled the playing field. And now I'm like, you know what? And then it goes into like a personal life, it's easy. Like I really don't do much social media personally. I like to just do it for the business.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, so obviously we're on it there, and, and you see your friends and everything. And I saw a friend of ours had got like this big, beautiful pool. And I just had this moment of like, well, I don't have a big pool.
Dude.
Like, oh man. And I shrunk.
That shit's
you
real.
know? Yeah. And, then I'm just like, my son is right here, like I don't
need that.
Yeah. It's really easy for me now. I used to really like, not really like, I mean, yeah, you'd see things and you can, it's easy to beat yourself up.
Well, dude, especially in your industry, and I guess to a certain extent my industry, you're dealing with jewels and people coming in and people want, however big, you're like, you can afford this, like, cool. And seeing just luxury stuff, you want to a certain extent, it gets ingrained in you and you find yourself chasing that.
So I did for a long time. And what's been cool is these last 4 or 5 years on my own have learned what makes me happy. Mm-hmm. And if that's coming to work in Nikes and my Cardinals hat, because this is just how I want to dress.
Dude,
and
this
feel.
is like, I love when I saw you get out of your car. I was like, that's him. This is me. Like, and look at who we are and where
things,
we are.
Because I wore a suit and tie for 10 years, 6 days a week.
Not 10 years, but
yeah, and
long enough for me to be like, get me out of here.
And I love it. I mean, you look sharp in it. I like dressing up, but I don't want to do that. Like, that's not how I want to
get to do this.
Yes, I get to do this. These are the things that, for me, I realized where 2 years ago, I'm like, you're not making any money, so you're failing. But like, this is a win for me.
This is a win. This is a soul win, a soul victory.
Yeah,
dude. Like thinking about it as you've struggled, the dude in the wheelchair going uphill, like that. I call those things breadcrumbs. That's be spiritual, believe in God, believe in the universe and all that. Like, that's to me the universe throwing something in front of me, saying, "Look here." You're on the right path. You're dealing with this. Like, totally. Work through it. Like, if this guy can do it, you can do it. Type thing.
Absolutely.
And there's so much power in finding those, and at least being open to the idea that those things get thrown out in front of you. You start seeing them more.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start seeing, and then for me, if I stop seeing them, when I come to the realization that I haven't seen a breadcrumb in a while, I'm like, yeah, duh, you're not feeling good right now. Yeah. Like, whatever. You're just, you don't feel like you're making progress. You're jammed up, whatever it is, mentally, physically, business-wise, personally, like, things just aren't jiving, right?
Yeah.
And then it's often very soon after I have that recognition, then I'm like, all right, just keep going. And then a breadcrumb, phone rings, someone wants to list a house. Or like,
they were just there.
Yeah.
They're there the whole time. You just like,
have to look.
You're like, there's my crumbs. And then you're like,
look at that. Yeah.
You gotta come, like, I always tell people, I'm like, zoom in and zoom out.
Dude,
because we're so zoomed in.
I have to get in my car today and I have to go to work and then I have to come home and I have to eat my dinner and I have to watch my TVs, my 6 TVs. I have to. I have 7 shows and we watch them and then we go to bed and we do it all over again. And your world is this big.
Yeah.
And then, dude, zooming out and like, oh my gosh, we're little life creatures on a planet, and zooming out and it's like, oh, there's the moon, and then zoom out, and there's our solar system. Beth and I were just watching something last night about black holes. It was a PBS. We stumbled into it on Netflix. It was a PBS. It was
Huge
Nova.
PBS fan.
Yeah.
PBS.
Sponsored by
the Arthur Vinings Davis Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. This Nova episode, and they're like, they proved and have experienced, what black holes are. And it's just like, and we're sitting down here worried about whether our daughter's going to make the softball team.
Totally.
Right?
When most likely, if she makes it or not, will eventually become irrelevant in her life anyways,
We'll teach her some lessons, but like...
Sure. But one little
micro
thing
lesson.
Of lessons,
yes.
of a lifetime of lessons. That was a huge thing for me. I thought you get to a point where you have it all figured out, and everything, like you get there.
Dude, isn't that funny? Like, I've just come to these types of realizations too. Like, there will never be an end. Until I can't, or until, I don't know, maybe there will be, but I feel like I'm always going to tinker.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. Like, I just want to build.
Yeah.
For the sake of building. And I guess that might be a very biological human impetus to just try to do everything that you can do in this lifetime to move the brick up the hill. Like, whatever it is, dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, well, I need to make this much money.
Yeah, me neither. I'm the same.
I have financial goals written, but the financial goals are where I need to get to experience the lifestyle that I have created in my vision for my business and my family, which involves 2 months of travel a year, which involves me working, get this, dude, ready? 20 hours a week. What would you do?
Amazing.
What would you do
if I could work 20 hours a week?
Is that even, so that like, that may not even resonate with you. And honestly, the more I look at that thing, the less it resonates. I read my vision statement in our weekly team meeting, and I pick out a sentence every week that like, we're not doing that, or wow, that resonates this week, or like I try to pick something out that's really hitting, and just draw a couple seconds of focus on it, right? Mental focus. And lately, that 20 hours a week thing just hasn't, like, I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to tinker. I don't want to over tinker. I don't want to be doing what I'm doing now. Like, I don't even want to know how many hours I work.
Yeah.
Like, it's constant. It's, how it is, text messages, calls, things, this, meeting people, the whole thing. But like, I honestly don't know if I just want to work 20 hours. I get so much satisfaction and gratification from tinkering and building. And
I feel like this because it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And it's also just in your DNA. Like, some people aren't interested in that.
Totally.
Some people
and that's
don't
fine.
want to tinker.
Like,
yeah,
it takes all kinds. Like, if everyone would just have the courage to just do them.
Yes.
Dude, if all you're going to do is, I don't even know whatever your baseline level, if you feel like shitty about this is all I'm ever going to do, like, just reconcile it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to build a little life around it.
We're all so different. I mean, that's another huge thing that I've learned in owning a business. Just expectations of what someone may or may not want. I just tell my sister every day, I'm like, somebody loves the color orange and somebody despises it. And everything is like that, across the board. Someone loves and someone hates. And so if everybody can just find their spot and their groove, and I mean, I'll take that back to business because, we are kind of, I guess, talking about business too.
Talk about whatever we want to talk about, dude.
Well, now I want to talk about other stuff.
Talk to you. We talk about what?
Fishing.
Okay.
No.
Fishing in Michigan.
I forgot what I was saying anyways.
Sorry, man. As you've built your business, have you done any of that, like mind mapping, that like goal structuring? Have you done any of that?
I haven't.
Most people don't.
I was just in a survival mode for the first few years.
That's exactly it.
And it's so funny that you just said most people don't. I pay attention to every business.
Right.
I want to have a conversation with your lowest paid employee to the CEO.
Dude,
I have questions I want to ask every single person, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I think so many people don't stop and evaluate. And this was in the first 10, 11 years of David owning the business. I don't think we ever really stopped and said, how do we want to do this? What's our approach? And so that's something I kind of had to figure it out. And I couldn't even do it until last year because I was so in survival mode. My sister started working there 2.5 years ago, which changed everything. Right. Now I'm able to think. Now I'm getting to that point where I can make some plans and set some goals and stuff. So in June, I basically looked at her. I said, summertime's when we're supposed to be slow. We weren't, thank goodness. That's an amazing gift to have. But I said, I'm going to try to avoid anything else right now. And let's just come in here every day for 3 weeks to a month. And let's talk about how we want to do this and what we want to do. And that actually evolved into me getting involved on social media because
I've seen your rise on it. Yeah.
We'd had an Instagram for years. And I know about social media, but I really wasn't interested in it. And I didn't put much value into it, just ignorantly, just thinking I don't really care what your pancakes look like, and
Totally,
I'm not going to show you my breakfast, I just wasn't interested. But then I found out, how to be on social media, how you can be on there any way you want to be. See,
you should be you.
I used to think, well, this post has to be perfect because if the Kardashians see it, they might want to buy this, and if 40 million people see it, but you're not. It's just about putting your voice and your feel and your you out there, and you'll attract the natural things. So I really stopped and realized I'm going to dig into social media, and a huge part of social media is obviously engagement, which I knew nothing about. So podcasts, all the information in life is out there. You can Google basically everything, you know? And so we just started Googling, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? And have learned and took this thing where I was I have my sister post on there once a day, and to this thing I love and this way that I keep in touch and get to see your life and understand how powerful it is, because everything is revolving around our phones and social media platforms, those 5, 6, 7 whatever ones. And I was the outlier being no, man, I want a flip phone. I'm old school. The radio went away, newspaper went away, TV's going away, commercial, everything is different now. Everybody's got their phone in their hand 24/7. Yeah. So I had to stop and evaluate and look at what people are paying attention to and just stop and think, how do I want to do this? So we started that in June, and we developed a 12-month plan of things and just started laying some stuff out. Yeah. And it's just constant tinkering, know? It's just constantly okay, we want to do this, we want to do that. So I came in one day and I said to her, let's check out TikTok. Gary Vee is talking about TikTok.
Yeah, my kid, Hannah, loves TikTok.
Huge, right? Yeah. So we look into it for a couple of weeks in June, and I was I don't know. I don't really sing and dance. I don't know how to do this, still kind of old school mentality, And so I went home on a Monday, or to work on Monday. I said, Lindsay, we're not going to mess with TikTok. And then I watched or listened to a killer podcast from Gary Vee, and I thought about some things, and I start looking on there. I'm there's no other jewelers on here. I'm I came in Wednesday morning.
Space. Yeah. Find the empty parking space.
I said, Lindsay, let's do TikTok. She's huh? I said, let's just try to do a video a day. And so we started. And after a couple of weeks, we had, 1,000 people were viewing a video, or 1,000 views. I'm this is crazy. People are checking it out. So we'll just keep it up. And we did a random, and they were all random jewelry videos. Nothing in particular, no dancing or singing, just showing what we do. I do this one of a 3D printing machine, and it's got over 1 million views now.
No way.
And I went from 24 followers to over 25,000 now.
What?
And it was just a fluky thing that I did.
You're a celebrity, bro.
So you want to know what's funny?
You're an influencer.
If Beth was going to bring in the girls. Now the girls know me, so it's not the same. But let's pretend Beth is, a new person coming in, and she brings her daughters, and this happened 2 weeks ago, and they're just on their phones. It was a sister or a girl and her best friend, And I was like, what do you, and they were talking about TikTok. I go, oh, you're on TikTok? And they look at me like, what do you know, old
What's
man?
this guy? Yeah.
What do you know, boomer?
Yeah.
And,
Okay, boomer.
And I go, I'm on TikTok. And they're like, I go, I have over 25,000 followers. And they're like, what? They freaked out all of a sudden. I was super cool,
that's
you know?
So funny.
But it's an opportunity. Ultimately, it's an opportunity to tinker and do something. And like, I'm more interested in that than anything else. You know, I mean, besides my family, obviously family first, but you know, I'm devoting time every day to TikTok. 6 months ago, I would have told you no way in hell that would happen. But now I'm like, yeah, that's really important. And it's the reason why is because I remember 10 years ago when Instagram came out, and I'm on it now, but I'm like, dang, I missed that. But now I've been at business long enough. I'm like, oh, here's another opportunity for a thing I'm going to grab and do. And so,
dude, you got my wheels turning on that.
Oh man.
You know, it's funny. You mentioned with well, I don't want to, don't do social media, or like there have been points in the conversation you've talked about, it's like that internal, I guess it's a dialogue, the two sides of your brain, like talking,
Constantly.
there's a book, and I mentioned it like a bunch of people lately. Brian North, the dude that owns North & Co. and my mentor, is reading The Power of Now. Have you ever heard this book?
I've heard of it.
Okay,
I haven't.
dude,
I'm not a great reader, but
dude,
I want to
no.
be.
Audible it.
Yeah.
Best way to do it. I can't read that book.
Yeah, because I read a page like 4 times before I understand it.
Me too. I'll do a lot of stuff. I will resonate with actual text words in certain books, and then certain books I'm like, I cannot get through it, and so I'll pop it on Audible, and it changed my life.
Nice.
But
I'll just say this because I'm feeling like I can. I have truly read one book start to finish in my life.
No way.
Yeah.
Hey man, you know what?
It.
That's awesome.
That's no joke. That's my little nugget. Yeah.
But the nugget.
It's embarrassing.
Cut that nugget. We're gonna wrap that up. We're gonna put it out there on
one book. My whole life start to finish. I can't remember the name of it. It was about
but this guy.
It was a drummer in the band of Closing Time. That song, Closing Time. They were a one-hit wonder, and it was this book about being the drummer in a band of a one-hit wonder band. It was great.
That sounds like exacy the book that you would read.
It was cool. Yeah,
that's funny, dude.
Yeah, I did a report on it my senior year or something, and that was it.
It's like I used to in school. I would figure out. I'd figure out what I wanted the paper to say, and then I would read the book. I'd
reverse engineer it.
Yeah, I'd reverse engineer it. Right. So there were a lot of
put the A up at the top.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the A.
F. No,
How do I get there?
Yeah. Let's get there. Totally. Yeah. So I used to do that a lot with papers and books and all that sort of stuff.
So books on tape though.
Books on tape. So
I can do that.
The Power of Now. So there's a chapter in it that talks about like that little voice in your head that tells you can't do stuff, or like those little voices that like chip away at you. And he's like, it's not much different than a homeless man walking down the street, right? Like mumbling and yelling and blah blah blah. It's like that's going on in your brain. But what you need to realize is that's not your brain. That's not your true ego. That's stuff getting in your way. And the second that you like shine a light on it, the second you look it in its eye, the second you acknowledge it and tell
totally
the way it's like, pack your shit and get out.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't come around ever again or as often. And
that's
so
awesome.
you've done that with like, well, all right, you don't need
anxiety.
To do social media, or you don't want to, or anxiety.
And
everything that chips away at you, the second you look that thing in its face and you tell it enough is enough, it goes away. I had that.
So simple,
dude.
It's so difficult.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
So simple. The concept is so simple.
But if you build that little
do.
mental trigger to like, I'm going down this path. I don't need to go down this path. Hey, voice, it just told me that. Well, I haven't paid myself, so it must be failing.
Yeah.
Shut up, dude. I'm going down the right path. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing it the way it matters to me, and I don't need your criticism. See you later.
I almost don't hear that voice anymore. And that's
because of the work you've done.
Yes. And that's only happened in the last year.
Yeah.
That's like I don't hear it. And even more so when someone in my life that I love wants to complain about something, I picture the guy on TikTok that, that is a one-arm bodybuilder, no legs, one arm, and his one arm and his chest are huge. And I'm like, that guy faces so much adversity every single day. Like, I couldn't imagine getting dressed with 2 legs and 1 arm, you know, like that would be difficult.
Yeah.
I play a lot. We love doing like charity golf tournaments and stuff. We did this amazing one, and this guy was in a wheelchair, and he's like, it never even dawned on me, but he's like, it takes me 3 hours to get ready in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Like, why am I thinking about what his morning is like, right? Until he tells me, and then I was just like, oh man, he's doing that every day and built a business and put this golf tournament on.
Awesome.
Like, I have nothing to say.
Isn't it funny? Like, you allow yourself to view that perspective and take it in. So many people are like, my this, my that. Like, I've just been real busy.
Totally.
You know, like
I have nothing to say, but I admire him so much.
Right. Like, people will get in their own way, in their own heads about how, like, the world that they've created around them that is disallowing them to do what they think they should be doing. It's like, nah, dude, just
have to and get to.
I have to pick up the kids, and then I have to make dinner, and then I have to. No. Like, you get to, and if you don't want to, do something else.
And be okay in it.
Own it.
That's been a huge, like, that's freeing for me.
So liberating.
I'm living life so much better because of these simple things that I've figured out.
Well, dude, and if you're
I didn't figure out that.
You have like, well, you figured it out for yourself, which is the important part, right? Yeah. You don't have to like reinvent the wheel and trying to find any of this stuff out.
There.
Like,
it's all inside of us.
It is, and you just have to commit to like trying to think about it. And it's hard, but doing that self work, getting through it is so liberating.
Yeah.
And it does, to your point, it's like when you do what feels good for you, you're going to attract
absolutely
that exact thing. If you put out who you are, I mean, especially us as business owners, as micro business owners, you're a sole proprietor in what you do. I'm a sole proprietor in what I do. Like, we get to take what's on our insides and put it out there for the world. Like, I don't care if it's real estate, jewelry. I don't care what we're doing. When we're running our business, we've gotten to the point where it's like, this is who I am. This is what I offer. Like, do you like this? And if people are like,
this is how I do it.
This is how I do it. Do you like this? And if people are like, no, I don't like it. I'm not like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, we're not people. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, like that's, and that is so, when you get to the point where you don't have to just like do it because of the way other people expect to see out of you.
Totally.
When you do it the way you want to do it, because you think the way that you're going to do it is going to be pretty cool. Yes. And it's going to fulfill you, and it's going to do the right stuff. That's like where the magic, the juice
it fulfills
comes.
you.
And it fulfills you.
Then it does. Like, then you actually get paid and you're doing it the way that you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I'm doing it on my terms. Like, to me, that's worth more than money.
Dude.
I had a guy
satisfaction.
Oh, for sure. I had this guy come in last week, and he was like, man, I love that you're like in this fancy jewelry shop. You sell this stuff, and you're just wearing like jeans and tennies and a baseball hat.
Yeah.
It was football.
So yeah.
And
it's football, bro. Okay.
He goes, you know, and do you ever think about like, you never get a second chance to make a first impression? Like, do you ever want to wear suits and ties? And I was like, no.
Nope.
No. I was like, you're here right now. You know, I'm like, I am what I am. And if you want to work with me because of what I do, you will love it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to work with me because I'm wearing a hat or Nikes, like, take it easy. I hope you find the place that will be good for you, you know? And where before I was like, ooh, can you let that go? I mean, of course you can. Like, it's the happier, better business is better than struggling through bad business.
Totally, dude. I mean,
or living a way you don't want to.
Right. I mean, it's like, yeah, you want that guy to buy stuff from you, but like, you already know from that first interaction how it's going to go. If that's one of the first questions that comes out, it's like, I know where this, if we started here, this process is going to be painful. And do I want to make the money, and do I want a little bit more security from my family? Yeah. But at what cost?
Yeah.
And at what cost to other clients? Because, you know, that's going to be the guy that is calling you all the time, you know, like.
So, I mean, there's quality of clients, you know, I mean, for sure. I think the whole attracting, like, I don't have a bad person. Like, think about all the people that you've sent in from your life. They're all amazing.
They are, dude.
And so, like, any person, like, and those people have sent in more amazing people in their life, you know? So
yeah, dude, I think that the idea of giving out the vibe that you want to give, and then receiving it back it's like self-fulfilling.
For sure. I always say that I have woke eyes and I recognize other people's woke eyes.
Yeah.
I was in the airport a few weeks or a couple months ago, I don't remember, and I just see a guy and we have the same crazy eyes and we start talking business, and and it's what you do. When we come in, and other friends, like, there are friends that do this and understand and get it, and there's friends that don't, because their lives are it's just different or whatever. But when you find those similar eyes, you attract those same things, and then
it's magic.
Have these, and I learned stuff today, you learned stuff today, I'm going to go apply it, I'm going to go tinker. I'm thinking about things in a different way, and this beautiful Monday morning. So.
Dude, I get to have those types of conversations. I get to have this type of conversation, and that's what feeds my soul, man. So
yeah, man.
Let's wrap, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for coming. This was awesome, man. I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah,
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here.